Welcome to the Transform My Dance Studio podcast, the only podcast for dance studio owners, where each week we bring you business growth strategies to help you increase your profits, impact the lives of more students, while ensuring you get back some time to have a little life outside of the studio. It's time for you to become the go-to studio in your area. Now, here's your host, founder of the Dance Studio Owners Association, Clint Salter.
Welcome back. It's Clint again, and I'm really thrilled for you to be joining us today because I am going to be chatting with the amazing Jodi Shilling from Releve Studios in California. Jodi is just a real delight. I've been working with Jodi inside of the Inner Circle, going into her third year now, and she's like that delightful dance student that we all know and love inside of our studio. Jodi works hard. She's passionate about delivering an amazing product and service to her customers, but she also is a really fast implementer and is always so hungry for new ideas. And so in this conversation with Jodi, she's going to talk about how she's really scaled her dance studio and grown in numbers and grown in ability in terms of her being the CEO over the last 2 years. This is an absolute incredible story. You are going to get a really fantastic insight into her journey. So please enjoy this. And it's the last week to apply for the Inner Circle. So if you're loving these interviews and you are resonating with the people that you're hearing, we have a whole bunch more of them inside of the Inner Circle, and we would love, and I encourage you to apply for this group of really special studio owners from all around the globe, where my team and I help them to scale up their studios, which is, bring more students, retain students, put processes and systems in place inside of their business, recruit and keep the right team, the dream team inside of their business, while helping them to have that life outside of the business. Love you to apply. Go to dancestudioownersassociation.com/inner circle. Now, let's get on with this amazing interview with the one and only Jodi Shilling. Hey, Jodi, thanks for joining us.
Hi, Clint. Thanks for inviting me.
So excited. And you will see in the background, Jodi's all of the amazing toys from her beautiful little girl. And so, Jodi, tell us a little bit, how did you get into being a studio owner? What was your journey?
I think that I've always wanted to own a studio or work in a performing arts field. I started out as a performer, and then when the time was right, I hit a couple of shows and I banked some money, and I used that to open up the studio. So that was about almost 9.5 years ago. So that's when I opened. Mm-hmm. And then it was just like hit the floor running. I had no idea what I was doing. I was a performer, not a business owner. I had a degree in performance, so I wish I would have met you 10 years ago.
And so what were those first couple of years like? Like being a performer, starting a studio? Give us some insight into, because, you were bringing students through the door. I mean, what was that all like for you?
I was lucky because I had a platform to work off of. I was on a Disney show. I had a little bit of notoriety. I'd go outside of my house, go to the grocery store, and people would be like, ah! So I used that to fill my studio up. Like, why not? So I carried cards around with me, and that's pretty much how I filled it in the first year. And
I love it. They're like, you're that girl, and you're like, take a card, come to my dance studio.
Well, I played a villain, so people were actually afraid of me. Like, they thought that I was actually mean. And the little kids would come up to me like kind of petrified and be like, can I have your autograph? I'm like, no, but you can't have my card.
I love it. And so you're in a couple of years, you're into it for a couple of years. You have a platform, like you said, so people are noticing you, your studio's becoming discovered. What roadblocks then kind of happened for you to take that next step? Like, what were some of those challenges, and how did you kind of push through them?
We had a steady climb until about 2012. Mm-hmm. And then stuff hit the fan. in my personal life. And just, I had to be transparent with my families at the studio, and I'll just be transparent now because I think that other studio owners might relate to my story. I lost a child. It was horrific. Like, my worst fear came true. And then my mom was diagnosed with cancer, and I had to choose my studio or her. And I chose her, and I left my studio in my manager's hands. And I said, good luck. I can't think about this right now. I thought I was going to lose it. And my grandpa passed away. Like, it was just like boom, 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 like so much. And I think I was sitting in my mom's den in those days where I was caring for her, and your lovely face popped up on Facebook. And I was like, I have to do this. Like, I felt so helpless. I was so far removed from my business. I was several states away. There was no way that I could be involved except planning for its growth and future. And so that is why I initially signed up for SSF. And then it was just a few months. I think it was August of 2014. So I had been trudging along for a couple years and really struggling. And then you made this announcement about the inner circle, and I was obsessed with it. I had to be a part of it. I just remember that so clearly because I felt like I had nothing to lose at that point. Like, I felt like I was already losing everything, so why not give it a go? So I was like the worst candidate.
I still remember our call. I still remember our call when we were saying, the right fit call. Are you going to be the right fit? And you were like, I want to do it, but I'm having a baby and I've got all this stuff going on. Yeah. It was like, what are you thinking, Jodi? Your life is in crisis and you're having a baby. What are you thinking? But I don't look back. It was the best move I could have made. The best. And the people, I think I've told you, but maybe not enough, but you and Mel and the people in the association, and especially in the inner circle, have really been instrumental in bringing me out of the fog and back to life. And feeling inspired and living again. Because when things happen, and it happens to everybody, you can either play the victim and you can choose to stop living, or you can be like, what do I have to lose? I've already lost everything. I've faced my greatest fears already. Let's do this. And so then those kind of decisions are no big deal. You just do it. Right. Yeah. So that's where I made the next step, is with you in 2014. And then from there, the business has just boomed. Yeah. It's my personal life. Yeah, which is, because it's hand in hand. I think as studio owners, when people are like, I need work-life balance, Clint. And I'm like, it's called life, and it's about managing both of them, and I think that the piece there is the presence piece. When you're with your kids, when you're with your friends, when you're with Sean, who's your husband, you're present there. When you're at the studio, you're present at the studio, you're working on the business. Now, you're a super implementer. So, one of the things I love, for everyone watching, Jodi just didn't sit on the couch, join the inner circle, and everything changed. Jodi implements, and she is so hungry for education and just kind of, asking really great questions to help her reach her goals. So give us some things that you put in place in that early kind of chapter 2 for you of the studio, when you came back and you were like, right, let's make this happen. What were some of the key things that you did that you feel like were really the game changers in the business?
Well, there's quite a few. One of them was just learning to block and manage my time and kind of get through my days. Because, at that time I was still dealing with grief and depression and things like that. So I work in time box, and I still do. And those 90-day goals and the 90-day marketing, that was the first thing that was extremely instrumental. And a lot of people will be like, oh my gosh, how do you how do you do everything you do and do it so quickly? But it's like when you have a quick change and you're backstage and you've got like 32 seconds to completely change your entire wardrobe. And the first times you do it, there's no time and you're like up to the wire, and then you end up with like extra time. It's kind of like that. Or when you're rehearsing a show, you can rehearse a show for 2 weeks or you can rehearse it for 6 weeks. And you're still going to have about the same show. It's not going to be that much better, and you're going to use every ounce of that time. So I just choose to work at a quicker rate because, life is fleeting, and there's I want to work hard and I want to play hard and enjoy my time. So the quicker I get through my work, the more time I have with my family. So that's why blocks have really, really worked well for me. And then the really being clear on the goal setting and the marketing plan. So that's one of the major things. And then second is just like wanting to keep up with the other people in the inner circle. It's like sharpening iron, and you don't want to be that weak person. Like, Jodi's really sloughing off. You want to be a strong team player. So I work well in that way too. Like when other people are succeeding, it makes me want to live up to that too. So those are game changers as far as implementing.
Yeah, awesome. Let's talk a little bit about your team, because one of the things that you've done is really step into that leadership role now, with your team members. How do you go about finding, because you're in LA, you're in a very transient place when it comes to performers and teachers, and you've got like the biggest sub list in the world because you need it. How do you go about now, like managing and keeping your team members, motivated and inspired and focused on the children, in that class, rather than like, I've got that audition tomorrow, that I need to be preparing for, but I'm here teaching this dance class.
Right. It took a little bit of time and thought to really put myself in their shoes. Like there's a culture here that I have to deal with. Like the teachers aren't here because they want to teach. They could do that anywhere. They're here because they want to make a name for themselves and perform. And this happens to be something that they can do to make money. So I am resigned to the fact that teaching is just a side job for them. So the way I've been winning them over is coming alongside them as someone who's already been there and mentoring my teachers. And I know they're only going to be with me as a stepping stone. Like, I feel like I'm just helping them to get to their next place. So on average, they're with me for maybe 3 to 5 years, sometimes a little less, but usually when they come out to me and they're green, they're so green, they just got off the bus.
Yeah. They're like at their bag, they left their family, they're going to the big smoke in LA.
Yes. Well, it takes a little time before you start booking. So I know I have them for like 3 to 5 years. But then they feel kind of like beholden and they feel like part of the community because I show them love and I am mentoring them. They do the same thing for the kids. Like it's just reciprocal.
Yeah.
So you give love, they give love. I think that's just how life works.
I love, you just use one of my favorite words in mentoring when it comes to our teachers. And the thing that I see so often, people are like, none of my teachers, you can do what I tell them and everything, the music's late and the choreography is not on time and they call in sick 10 minutes beforehand. And I was like, there's a common denominator here and it's you. It's you as the studio owner. That's unfortunately and these are the tough conversations we have to sometimes have, in this circle. It's like, okay, need to work on you as the leader. Because it's not one teacher, it's like all 10 of you teachers. And you talked about mentoring and it's such a great philosophy, I think every one of us should have that is a studio owner and a business owner when it comes to our team members. Because it's not like, here's $50, teach a class, see you later.
Right, right. I also do something else that's a little bit manipulative. And I'm one of the only studios, I think, in the city that does this, but I pay my teachers purely per head. So if we bring in $15 per student, they're going to make $4 per head. And then I know that their wage with payroll is going to be about 30% of what I'm bringing in, which is what it's supposed to be. And some people are like, well, how do you get the great ones? Well, I get the great ones because they stick. They come to me and they're making like $60, 70, 80 because they're filling their classes. So they love that better. It's better than just getting your flat 30 or 40. So it really motivates them to be on time and to get their music turned in and not let those kids down and talk to the parents and have them bring in more kids. It really been a great system for me. It was scary to implement it, but I'm pretty good at going where it's scary.
Yeah, you are. And I think that's a common thing that's been brought up actually is the fact that everyone we've talked to has said, I've been doing a lot more scary things lately. And that's what it takes to grow. Thanks for sharing that, because I think not only is that a different model for a lot of people to potentially consider, but the reasoning behind it around, that teacher is probably a lot more, well, they would be a lot more invested in ensuring the kids are having a great time, the class is running really well, you're really happy with them as well, that it creates this beautiful culture that kind of keeps them going as well, rather than I'm just going to turn up, get my money, see you later.
Right. And it also tells me who isn't relating to the kids, because those classes they're not going to fill. And then it's really easy to have that conversation because they're like ready to leave anyway. And I can bring the next person on my list. So I hire, as you know, from my sub list, which is like 40 people, sometimes 50 long, that we use regularly. So I already know from that list who my top 5 people are at any given time. So if someone books or someone's not panning out, then I can replace them easily.
Yeah, totally. You're a performer, yourself, like you said, you're in TV, you've done film. How do you fulfill that creativity piece of you that, is important to still nurture when you're running a business, when you're the CEO of a business?
I was worried about that when I stepped away from teaching. When I first started working with you, you had told us all to kind of cut back on our hours. Oh my gosh.
Stop teaching so many hours. How are you going to grow a business if you're like teaching like 30 hours a week?
And that's what fulfills me, is setting the numbers and, getting creative as an artistic director. But I've found, and it's so weird, I've found marketing to be so fun and so creative. I just did this marketing campaign with you where I was so excited and stoked to figure it out. It was it was really fun. But I'm cheating a little bit because I still do acting on the side. So
yeah, you do. And that's, and the reason I wanted to bring that up is it's important that we still have creative outlets. You do acting on the side, you've done some great video things, and like I said in the past, it might have been with Shauna's interview that we did, I'm not about you completely stopping every single hour of teaching that you do.
Right.
I'm about you. Yes, you don't have to teach every class. Teach, 4 or 5 hours a week, those classes that you love so much, that give you so much joy, that fulfill you, and that the kids love it. It's like a massive love fest, right? Continue doing those. But unfortunately, we can't, like you said, we can't grow a business if we're still in the classroom all the time.
Right. But adversely, you can't run a business if your cup isn't full. So this is always finding how much you need of what. And that's why I block my time.
Yeah. Block the time and check in with yourself. How am I feeling today? I'm burnt out because I've done all this stuff that really kind of zaps all of my energy. All right. What am I going to do tomorrow morning for half of the day to ensure that I rejuvenate myself? Because you're the head of the business, the CEO, and how you feel, think, act filters down to every single person inside of that business.
Absolutely. Yeah.
What do you think as you kind of move forward, how do you plan? You talked a bit about kind of goal setting and the 90 days that we all follow in the group. How do you kind of visualize and set your vision for like where you want to go with the studio? Because you've had a lot of quick growth, over the last couple of years. Like, how do you kind of think about keep thinking bigger and bigger and bigger?
Isn't that kind of like choreography? Like, people are like, how do you choreograph? I'm like, I see it in my head and then I put it on bodies and then I see if I can do it, And I don't know, I just sit around and think about my business like most of the day. Like, it's hard to turn it off actually. But I'm a really good observer, especially because I'm pretty introverted and pretty shy. And so a lot of times I'm not the center of the attention in a room. I'm on the side observing. And so I think it's perfect for someone who's running a business, because I've gone out to my lobby, sat in a corner and just watched for like hours, like the interactions. And it kind of, inspiration strikes at the weirdest times.
Sure.
Or I'll go to, I love being by the water. I'll go to the ocean and sit and look out and watch the sunset. And I'll just think about people and instructors, and then inspiration strikes. And once that little nugget strikes, then I run it by someone like you, or I work closely with Justin as well. Yeah. And then I either get validated or I don't. And then I toss it out or I keep going with that idea.
Yeah, I love it. I think you touched on something really important there, which is taking the time to think and observe. So often I feel like in a lot of the studio owners I chat to are like, I've just got to keep going. I've just got to keep going. And that's not when inspiration strikes. That's not when you get clarity around where you want to go. That's not when an idea kind of that's been sitting there comes to the front of your mind and you go, that's it. That's where we have those moments in silence, in observing, in thinking, just, going for a walk and just thinking about the business.
I also journal. I get up about an hour early every morning and I read for 30 minutes and I journal for 30 minutes. And a lot of times in unrelated books, inspiration will strike. Or I'll be watching a movie or a commercial and I'll be like, oh my gosh, I've got to do that. Or someone super creative, like in the inner circle, like Angela and Sean, they're constantly inspiring me. And then they'll have this idea and then I'm like, I can expand that. And I take it and do something else with it. So inspiration is everywhere.
Totally. It's just stopping and paying attention, I think.
Yeah.
I love that. Jodi, I know that we're running out of time. I mean, I'd love to talk to you for another couple of hours because I think it's so valuable for the studio owners that are watching. If someone's, thinking about maybe joining the inner circle or, is the inner circle right for me? Who do you think is a great candidate? Because our group better than anyone. You've been there. You're one of our founding members of the Inner Circle, along with Angela and Shauna that we've spoken to, and a whole bunch of other people. Who do you think is the right fit? Who's going to benefit most from this?
I think people who are not afraid of facing their fears. People who can get over themselves and do what's right for their business. People that like to work at a fast pace and get inspired by others who are smarter and better and greater than they are. People that selfishly, I want fun people.
Everyone said fun. Don't worry. I want fun. That's for me, the number one is fun. We have a lot of fun.
We have so much fun, so much fun. I truly care about, I've really come to care about everyone in the group and we have so much fun.
Yeah.
Yeah. And some of them, the Australian and New Zealand, and I've not even met them in person. And I feel like I have. I feel like Natalie, I feel like I've known her forever and I've never met her ever, but I feel like I know them.
Yeah. It's a special group. Jodi, thank you so much for sharing with us today. Where can our studio owners go to find out more about your studio?
relevatestudios.com.
Yes. Very easy. relevatestudios.com. Go and look at all the amazing things Jodi and her team are up to. Check them out on Facebook as well. They do some cool Facebook Lives and different fun things. Thank you, Jodi. Thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate it. It's always great to connect with you.
Bye.
I hope you really enjoyed that interview and got a lot of value from it. Took a couple of pages of notes maybe on how you can really take your studio to the next level. Now, if you'd like my help and our experts and our coaches and you'd love to be part of a small group of studio owners from all around the globe, I'd love to invite you to apply for our inner circle. You can go to dancestudioownersassociation.com/inner circle to get all of the details and to fill out your application. It's a coaching and a mastermind program that lasts for at least 12 months. We run live events, 3-day retreats with our members. We do weekly group coaching calls. We have a really beautiful, supportive group of studio owners from around the world that are part of our inner circle, with everyone having the one goal, which is to grow their studio while having a life outside of their business. And let me tell you, it's definitely possible. Check out our website, dancestudioownersassociation.com/inner circle for all the details. I would love to receive an application from you. See you soon. Bye for now.
Thank you for joining us today. For all the resource links from the show and to receive access to our free dance studio growth training, make sure you visit transformmydancestudio.com.